If I tell you that a kingdom which was in the Deccan Plateau captured the legendary city of Kannauj, you must be quite surprised and believe this is a myth. Well, you are wrong. So let's see the struggle on Kannauj of the Rashtrakutas. The story of this massive empire began in the 730s. Dantidurga was the first Rashtrakuta king. Dantidurga was a feudatory of the Chalukyans. He repulsed two Arab invasions which would have swallowed South India. In the next decade and a half, he subdued various kingdoms and formed a marriage alliance with the Pallavas. And with the help of the Pallavas, he captured eastern Chalukyan territory. Sadly, he died in 756 AD. After Dantidurga's death, his uncle Krishna I came to power. By 757 AD, the Rashtrakutas had finished off the Chalukyans. He then conquered the Konkan coastal region and the Ganga kingdom, thus bringing them under his control. After that, he invaded the eastern Chalukyas, forcing them to submit as vassals. He also constructed the mind-blowing temple at Ellora. Krishna died in 774 AD. By 774 AD, they had conquered most of the Deccan region and made itself as the most powerful kingdom in the Deccan. The Rashtrakuta Empire had an army like other kingdoms. They had a strong force of infantry, cavalry, and well-trained elephants. Cavalry was the most important. Even in the Rashtrakuta coinage, carvings of cavalry are present. Now we shall see the tug of war over Kannauj of the three kingdoms. The three kingdoms were the Rashtrakutas, of course, the Pratiharas who emerged from Rajasthan, and the Palas who emerged from Bengal. In the 1770s, Kannauj was an independent kingdom and very weak. Everyone wanted to capture Kannauj because of the wealth they had, and capturing Kannauj would mean control over the Silk Road. The tri-series tug of war didn't begin till the coronation of Dhruva I in 780 AD. He first subdued various rebellions and then attacked the Pallavas. After securing his position in the Deccan, then he focused on capturing Kannauj. At the time, the Palas were in control of Kannauj. When the Rashtrakutas reached Kannauj, they sent the Palas rushing back to Bengal. It was more than a raid than an attempt to take over. They looted everything from temples. After getting a substantial amount of bounty, they returned to the Deccan. He then made the Eastern Chalukyan king vassal by handing off the princess to them. Sadly, in 793 AD, Dhruva I died. His third son, Govinda III, came in power. His elder brother, Kambarasa, wanted the throne and declared war on Govinda. Kambarasa was a powerful enemy and had the support of 12 kings. In time, Govinda defeated Kambarasa and awarded him with a Jahagir. During this time, Kannauj fell in the hands of the Palas and the Eastern Chalukyas also declared independence. In 800 AD, he launched a campaign on the Pratiharas and Kannauj. His campaign on the Pratiharas was extremely successful and he acquired lands in some parts of Gujarat. He then captured Kannauj successfully. Sangam literature says that Govinda III's horses drank their water from the icy Himalayan streams and the elephants drank from the sacred river Ganga. However, he had to return south as the eastern Chalukyas were getting aggressive. Govinda killed the eastern Chalukyan king in battle and placed his own puppet ruler on the throne. On the way down south, Govinda's wife gave birth to Amogavarsha on the banks of the river Narmada. His reign lasted 62 years and very peaceful. In 815 AD, he was just 14 years old when he came to power. The kingdom was being administered by his cousin Karka. When he came in power, the empire was in disarray and many rebellions were going on. He made the rebellions quiet in his early years. He first shifted his capital to Manyaketa. Manyaketa was so wealthy that it seemed to have sprouted from ancient mythology. Though Jainism, Hinduism, and Buddhism were patronized religions, Islam was also patronized majorly. Amogavarsha built several mosques in his capital Manyaketa and around his empire. He also appointed a Muslim as the Jagirdar of an important province. This was strategic tolerance used by Amogavarsha. As the empire was facing the Arabian Sea, they depended on the Arabs for trade. He also relied on Arab emperors to put pressure on the Pratiharas. Amogavarsha was a Jain convert from Hinduism. Many Jain temples were built during his reign, especially in Karnataka. He patronized scholars, poets, and playwrights, especially who wrote in the language of Kannada. The next 50 years was the Tri-Series tug of war. Between time to time, the eastern Chalukyas would be invaded. They would either repulse the attack or serve as feudatories. The same went for the Kalingas. Tamil Nadu also became a problem because of the rise of the Cholas. In 1914 came Indra III. He immediately set for taking Kannauj after sensing weakness among the Pratiharas who were having a family dispute over the throne. After a series of short-lived emperors came the rise of Krishna III, who was the last able monarch of the Rashtrakutas. He built a strong economy and patronized various scholars, and went beyond Kannauj into Nepal. They also won the battle at Takulam against the Cholas. After this battle, the Cholas went into decades of disarray. The Rashtrakutas reached at their height of power from Sri Lanka in the south to the Himalayas in the north. In 971 AD, the Paramaras, a puppet dynasty once installed by the Rashtrakutas, invaded Manyaketa, the capital of the Rashtrakutas. Then, in 972, Tailapa, a forgotten relative of the Rashtrakutas, invaded in Rashtrakuta territory, thus ending a golden age.